What do you make of what's happening now that we can't see behind the scenes?
I'm actually going back to this morning in the gag order hearing. That was the most explosive thing for me, only because for as accomplished an attorney as Todd Blanche is, I just really couldn't understand why he would make some of the arguments he did without having substantive examples to back them up. That was very much so a surprise. To have a judge tell you that you are losing credibility this early in a trial is really, really dangerous ground to operate on. If anything, I would have expected him to walk in there with a plan presented and ready that was going to somehow allow the judge to make a decision that perhaps didn't ding his client on everything, but also allows his client to move forward while preserving the integrity of these proceedings. And he didn't. And that's something that I don't necessarily know is going to be easy to overlook going forward because Donald Trump is not changing who he is. So you can fully expect going forward that we're going to have this issue again, and it's either going to get very costly for Donald Trump or very difficult for Todd Blanche, if not both.
I mean, I think Rick Wilson wrote the book, right? Everything Trump touches turns to caca.
If we, on the political end of that, I mean, part of this that I tried to take a step back and remind myself that I'm still covering the Republican presumptive nominee for 2024. Right. And part of this is that Donald Trump, outside of this criminal trial, really hasn't faced political repercussions for those efforts, these alleged efforts to silence these stories from coming out in 2016. And when we were talking with David about what the National Enquirer offered him in 2016, it was for another outlet to just put out into the sphere, essentially a generator of salacious stories about his opponents. This go around, fast forward to 8 years. Again, when I talk about no political repercussions for what happened 8 years ago, Donald Trump just reposts on his social media account now just random accounts that have no name behind them. You know, when he was running against Ron DeSantis, there was some random person that tweeted out a photo of Ron DeSantis when he was a high school teacher, apparently with high school girls, with text that suggested that he was grooming high school girls. And Donald
Trump had to deal with. The DeSantis
campaign had to deal with. It was being talked about. And there was no repercussions for Donald Trump. So he's not even relying on the National Enquirer now and his friend David Pecker. He's just doing this himself. And again, no political repercussions.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Andrew Weissman, Charles Coleman, Suzanne Craig, thank you so much for being at the table for the whole hour. We may, Vaughn, stick around a little bit longer. Up next for us, more on this gag order that we've been talking about. And Judge Juan